Howdy, and welcome to the Feed Bandit Podcast, where we talk all things hunting and introduce you to the most innovative hunting gear and services. Here are your hosts, Jimmy Byrne and Richard Kinchlow. Howdy, folks. Welcome back to the Feed Bandit Podcast. Jimmy and Richard here. How you doing, Rich?
I'm doing good, sir. Doing good. Another day.
Another day, another dime. But we're
That's
excited to be back here talking about, deer today.
I know.
Specifically, doe.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Talking about the females, which we tend to do.
We tend to do a lot, but
Yeah.
these particular species of female will become more important to us at this time of year.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Well, and to bucks, I guess I used to say eventually. But,
Right. Yeah.
But we wanted to talk about give ourselves, I guess, a refresher, and hopefully everyone listening a refresher on now that we're getting close. I guess we're in bow season most everywhere. I don't know, a lot of places.
Oh yeah.
Also, we're getting close to rifle season, and just kind of want to talk about, things to remember, I guess. And, whatnot.
Yeah.
Where do you want to start?
Well, we just talk about, I don't know. We'll just jump right into it. I think that, a part of any good management program, whether you've got a 10,000 acre ranch or a 500 acre lease, is having a good buck to doe ratio, and it's harvesting. It's taking care of your does. There's a lot of places that have an excess amount of does, and so it's definitely important that you get out there and you take your does. To me personally, a doe is just as big of a trophy in my mind, really, that a good buck is. I mean, they eat the same, right? As the guys say, you can't eat antlers, right? So I think,
unless you're like
actually, it's kind of rodent. Those rats will chew them, get their calcium. Which have you ever? Speaking, you've done it before. Remember when we get the Sawzall to cut antlers off, and just that bone,
that
that
smell.
bone marrow. Oh my God!
Yeah.
I mean, it makes me want to vomit just thinking
It's
about
close to like a burning hair.
it. Oh God, it's awful. Oh, it's so terrible. I can't stand it. Anyway, so I don't know where I got sidetracked. Why were we talking about?
Well, you were mentioning about eating.
They can't eat antler. Yes, yes. So I just figured that I think it's a good time to talk about does and what to look for, and maybe a little bit of history about does. Characteristics of a quote shooter doe, things of that nature. So I agree. I think the timing of this is pretty good. The Texas bow season's been going on for a handful of weeks right now, and the Texas rifle season's coming up. I suspect some of the other rifle seasons have already opened up. So, again, a good part of any management program is taking out some of your does. I think they say the optimal ratio is, I think it's 1 buck to 2 does or something of that nature. And the reason for that is, the reason why you don't want an excess amount of does is obviously your carrying capacity is going to be in trouble. Okay. We need to remember that all the nutrition that a male deer eats, during the antler growing season is going to go to their body first and then into their antlers. So if you've got an excess amount of deer, whether it be bucks or does, right, out there munching up all the groceries, your future trophy buck, he just ain't going to develop. So again, do your part and take out your does. So,
and of course, more doe to bucks, because bucks can breed more than 1 doe, obviously.
Yes.
Probably in any species, I guess that's the case.
Yeah, we're lucky, but and not get in trouble, divorce.
Right.
But I think also what's important, because if you've got an excess amount of does out there, during the rut, and I actually don't know this for a fact, but it kind of makes sense that with an excess amount of does, you've got bucks that are running around crazy. And the more they run around, the more that they wear themselves out, their body deteriorates a little bit, and they become susceptible to predators.
And kind of make it harder, maybe, for them to get through like a harsh winter, maybe.
No doubt, because they've got reproduction on their mind, which It's anyway. Hey, we could jump all over that one, but we shall not. So
a lot of innuendos in this one.
Oh yeah. We don't even speak French, so
Oh,
yeah. But talk about the history of doe hunting, and at least when I was growing up in the early '90s, on the hunting lease we had in Throckmorton, Texas, we we had about I guess probably 10 guys, and each guy had at least one son, and we're all out there, and it was a one buck county at the time, and truthfully, I don't even remember how many does we could take, but it didn't matter because we never shot any does, and it was really funny. For my first,
like
10,
purposefully, or because you didn't see that many?
no, purposely, just didn't shoot any does.
Yeah.
I mean, I can remember going out to, out there, and I guess that'd be Northwest Texas. We had massive wheat fields, and it was just full of deer, and the majority of them are does. But I never shot a doe until we got onto Rancho Bandito. Never shot a doe. It was always coals and spikes and and all kinds of stuff. And I don't think that I don't think it was because of kind of the old saying, and the old saying was, well, gosh, you don't want to you don't want to shoot any does because that's that could be the mother of the next buck. But we just never did it. But that the whole don't shoot any does because those are your females, right? That's kind of the mentality with turkey. That's kind of the mentality with some of the duck species. Okay. Like they just released the 2019 harvest guidelines for ducks, and I think you can only kill one mallard hen this year. And it's because of that. Okay, but and so that used to be kind of the mentality with white-tailed deer, and it's definitely in fact. Okay, I'm kind of thinking of these things as we go along here. It's definitely the mentality you've got with mule deer. I think there's only 1 or 2 places in the state of Texas where you can shoot a mule deer doe. Now, it's mule deer doe in Texas. Mule deer in general in Texas is a lot different situation than it is with whitetail. But, obviously there's not as many mule deer. And then as when we talked to our friend from the Mule Deer Foundation, he was telling us that mule deer are kind of struggling in some areas. So, but anyways, that was kind of the old mindset of, don't shoot them because of they are the future mothers of these big bucks. Well, yeah, I think what they probably found out is just what we discussed. These does would just get overpopulated like crazy. The bucks wear themselves out trying to breed, and then here you go. You've got an exponential amount of animals out there. It affects the carrying capacity, could spread disease, all kinds of stuff. So taking does is definitely a part of any good modern day management program. Going a little bit further, fast forwarding to the early 2000s, at least the way it was on Rancho Bandito, and our thinking at the time, and our thinking of a lot of other places was our doe policy became very similar to what it was with our bucks. Okay, meaning obviously really want to avoid shooting. Obviously no fawns, right? But really avoiding shooting any doe that was younger than 4.5 years old at any hunting events. When you're in the blind or driving around, whatever it may be. And as you can attest to that wasn't all that easy because you have a whole bunch of eyes looking at you, and it can be very, very difficult. But that was kind of our mentality, and we. Our Rancho Bandito is governed by the Managed Land Deer Permits, or MLDP, and so we have, on our on one of our pastures, we had to kill, I think it was 13 doe, and we were struggling. I mean, we could not get those numbers down
because you're targeting the older ones.
Exactly.
Than
right.
I mean, I guess preferably older than 4.5, at least
exactly.
on that property.
Yep, and that's exactly right. And it just became a real big struggle. And then it got to the point where, okay, maybe, we're going to run the risk of having some overpopulation because we just can't achieve this goal. So we all kind of made the decision. All right, let's let's do our best to. And so kind of fast forwarding to the current management scheme for does on Rancho Bandito. let's try to make them as old as they are. But if you got a 3.5-year-old doe in front of you, and we need to take 15, 20 deer, go ahead and take it. Obviously, we're still going to avoid the fawns. That's a no-brainer. You don't kill children, right? We don't want to kill the 1.5-year-olds, or the 2.5-year-olds. But if we shoot a 2.5-year-old, hey, it's okay. So that's kind of what we've done. It's kind of been a spattering, if you will, of different age groups that we've harvested, and I think it's been pretty successful.
Hey, hold on 1 second. Hey, folks, do you want to level up your hunting game and gear? If so, join the hunt to get killer hunting tips and tricks that'll help you out in the field. Text the word BANDIT to 345-345 right now. And when you do, you'll even get access to some exclusive deals on the hunting gear and services we discuss right here on this podcast. Again, text the word BANDIT to 345-345 right now and join the hunt.
Well, what's interesting also about the older doe is it seemed like, they were obviously easier to see at one point. You killed a few of them. And then it seemed like over one season or two at the most, like you're talking about, they disappeared, or at least you couldn't see them as much, but we knew they were out there.
Oh, sure.
So it's like it goes to the premise or the thinking that, if a deer lives that long, then they're probably going to be pretty smart, right, at that point, because they've lived that long. So once they started seeing that the older ones were being taken out, then they wised up really quickly.
Right.
So yeah, it's rare whenever we see one of those. Now it's like, wow, it's like seeing like a Sasquatch type thing. Is like, or a mountain lion. It's like, oh, that's a 5.5-year-old doe.
Right. Oh yeah. Well, and that kind of brings me to kind of the next phase of this podcast is, how do you identify a good older doe to shoot? There have been a lot of young deer, fawns included, that have been killed, especially doe or young doe fawns, because of the fact that they've got nothing to age them by. There's just a single deer at the feeder, and they looks like a doe. Well, bam, and then they shoot. It ends up being a fawn. So, what are the age characteristics of an older doe? What are some of the behavior traits? What are some tips? Some hints that you can use out there in the bush to help identify an older deer. So, let's go over those. So if you're in a situation like most of us are here in Texas where you've got a feeder, okay, 9 out of 10 times when that feeder goes off, okay, and when we're just going to call it perfect conditions, right, cool and not a lot of wind, all right, and it's it's just really, really good, okay. 9 out of 10 times the first couple of deer that maybe run into that deer feeder when it comes up are not going to be mature deer, okay. Mm-hmm. And that is something that I have found to be true almost universally.
They like to use their young as scouts.
Oh yeah, just complete and totally idiots.
Sacrificial scouts.
Yeah, it's the same. It's the same thing with your damn kids running out the street for a ball. Right. It's like, what are you doing, God? Don't run out there. You got to look both ways. But it's true. And the thing is, you'll see a bunch of fawns and really young deer run out there. Okay. So again, that's something to look for. The chances are that an older doe is not going to do that. Now, that being said, when you've got 2 or 3 antlerless deer that run in at the outset of a feeder spin, okay, check the brush line, check the edge, okay. So a little wildlife factoid for you here. The transition piece between 2 pieces of habitat is called edge, okay? So, when the deer goes from a really thick cover to maybe a little opener area, okay, that's called edge, that area in between. So always check the edge, okay? Because guess what? That's where your older deer are going to be. All right, that big mature doe is not going to just run out there like an idiot. That mature doe, and I've seen it 100,000 times, and Jimmy, I know you've seen it too. We'll sit there and we'll sit there right at the edge of the edge, okay? And they will sit there and they will scan and they will test the wind and they will watch their little sacrificial young out there, to see what's going on, and then they will come in.
Right.
So that is a really, in my opinion, a tried and true method of identifying an older deer.
And
Okay.
it may take a while. I mean, like
Oh, no
you
doubt.
see it all the time where they run in and they'll eat for darn near an hour or 45 minutes, and finally,
Yep.
depending on the time of year, it seems like
Yes.
it's
Yes. Yeah. And then here come the older deer. No
right.
doubt. No doubt.
And
Uh,
you're sitting there, like if you're sitting over a cornfield or something, like, come on,
oh yeah.
the corn's not gonna, it's gonna run out.
That's right. That's right. Oh yeah. There's God. How many times have we had that happen? Uh, so let's kind of fast forward. So say like you're in the deer blind for the afternoon hunt and you accidentally fell asleep. All right, so you wake up and all of a sudden you got 15 deer out in front of you. God knows that's happened to me, and it'll probably continue to happen to me.
Oh yeah.
So again, how do you identify a good mature doe? Well, first and foremost, obviously you're going to be looking at facial characteristics. Okay, typically the younger fawns have got kind of a shorter face. All right, the older does appear to have a longer face. Okay, which is really funny because in bucks, one of the telltale characteristics of a young buck is that they appear to have kind of a shorter face and kind of what they call a Roman nose. All right, but with the does, they seem to be longer. Also on the bodies of an older doe, they seem to sag a little bit. And one thing I've kind of compared it to is that you look at a loaf of bread. It's just a kind of like a curved rectangle. It seems like the older does, if you could take a curved loaf of bread and kind of put it there on their body and then attach a neck and head to it. That's what an older doe would look like. And if you kind of look at the pictures, you'll see what I'm saying. Meaning again, it's a perfect rectangle, but their body kind of sags and they're really long. Okay, that's kind of one of the other characteristics I look for. As far as behavior is concerned, and this is a real good telltale sign for me, and this is especially important if you've got a scenario where you're pretty sure you've got some 1-year-olds, you're pretty sure you got some fawns, but man, you just don't have any of those. Not seeing any mature does that you think. Okay, well, there is a thing in the animal kingdom called the pecking order. Okay, obviously the older deer are going to kind of get the first right at a feeding area, at a bedding area, whatever it may be. So, does will typically peel their ears back and kind of charge at younger deer, or they'll get on their hind legs and kick. So look for that too, because again, those younger deer aren't going to do it to the older deer. It's going to be the other way around. Mm-hmm. So those are some of the characteristics that I've seen year after year that kind of help me identify an older doe out there. Typically, again, you're not going to have a scenario where you've got a single older doe with a feeder. I would say that would be very rare. Does tend to hang out with other does. So if
I would say, every time I've killed a really, really super old one, though,
yep.
that has been by themselves, or she has been by herself.
Really?
Like the super one. Like, remember, I got that.
The 175er. Yeah.
Her, and then that really old one that had like barely any teeth left.
Yep. Yep.
What was that?
Yep.
What was she? 7.5, 8.5?
Yeah.
What we thought it was.
She was ancient, and so
she was kind of like an old, just an old person who's like, I don't want anything to do with anybody anymore. I'm off on my own.
Yeah. But see, in my experience, that's been pretty rare, and that's and I'll tell you that it's very risky. Because if you shoot if you're 150 yards away from a deer feeder and you've got really good optics, okay, and really good light, okay, and you're really tenured, yeah, I mean you can if you've got a single deer at your feeder and you've confirmed that it's an age appropriate deer to shoot, fire away. But like I said, kind of at the beginning of this thing, if you're new or there's any of the conditions aren't right, your optics suck, whatever it may be very careful.
Yeah.
We had you probably remember this. We had a scenario where we had somebody on Rancho Bandito that assassinated 2 buck fawns because he thought they were does. And oh my God, I mean, I literally almost blew my PF Chang everywhere. I was, of course, and I love freaking hibachi. So there isn't much that is going to ruin my night. But oh my God, I swear to God, oh, I was angry.
Hey, well, I feel like I want to do a little, to this story obviously,
Yeah.
but to the people listening, kind of a confession here about my
Mm.
Buck Fawn story.
Yeah, that's right. That's right, child killer.
Hey, hold on one quick moment. Hey folks, have you ever wished that there was an easier way to find the hunting feeds, supplies, and services you need, when and where you need them? If so, check out our hunter search at feedbandit.com, where you can see what hunting suppliers are in your area or are on the way to your land. Don't waste any more precious time searching Google or calling around for feed, blinds, feeders, or even outfitters. Just use our targeted search for hunters, the Feed Bandit Hunter Search, over at feedbandit.com. We'll find your feed.
Little did I know that I
God,
have to be a little more careful. But I was sitting in a deer blind when our good friend Laine was trying to start learning how to deer, and I was the shooter. I don't think he was shooting them yet. He was just kind of like looking at it, trying to learn. And so we're sitting there, and a bunch of doe come in, or I think they're all doe. And I'm looking at them. I'm going through the progression of all the things and everything like that. And as I'm doing this, I'm saying them to him. And I'm like, you see that one there? I mean, and I described all these things, and I'm like, pretty sure that's a good doe, so I'm going to shoot it. So I get up and I shoot it. Bam, put her down, right there. Kind of walks behind the trees a little bit, not far, 10 yards from where she was. And we're packing up. We drive up to. And I'm explaining, like, see, you got to be careful and make sure, look at the head, make sure that, that there's no bumps there or blah, 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 what all these other things. And, I mean, literally, this is kind of what I'm saying, as we're driving up to it. And we get out and we walk up to it. And I can't remember if I saw it first or if he did and was like, oh, what is that? Or something like that. But sure enough, it was a buck. But look, barely nubbing buck. But this guy was big. Yeah. I mean, like amongst, all these other doe and everything. So even when you have a lot to compare it to, and you're looking at all this stuff.
Yep.
And I'm looking and I am literally telling him with my binoculars to my eyes, you got to make sure they don't have. It's like not a nubbing buck or any of this type of stuff.
Yep.
Even after doing all that stuff. Mistakes can be made.
There's no doubt.
So they're like, oh no. I mean, what are how ironic,
I can hear a line now. Okay, so what you're saying is does have fuzzy nubs? Oh,
I was like, so forget everything that I just told you and sit with someone else the next time.
Yes, I love it.
Jeez. Okay, so now it's out there in the public. Yes, I've made that mistake. So.
Surprisingly, I have not. I think I might be. Well, no.
Well, you say that now.
Oh, that's true.
Better watch out.
That's true.
Wood over there.
Yeah, November 1. Got him. God bless it. Yeah. Well, and it's I tell you what we'll do. Talking about fawn pictures or the transition between a fawn and becoming the kind of a young doe, and they lose their spots. A picture I emailed you the other day. Let's put that on as one of the pictures for this podcast, because it's kind of creepy how the back half of this fawn is all spotted.
One thing I wanted to point out to you on that picture, and everyone listening, when you take a look at this, if you really kind of zoom in to what looks like the spots, there's like a little pot mark in the middle of each one, so it kind of looks like I'm trying to think of a example.
Did I email that to you or text it to you?
Can't remember. I think you might have texted it to me. Oh, no, you emailed it to me. Okay. But, excuse me. Take a look at that and look at it again. And maybe this is a good kind of is it or isn't it challenge type thing. Like, when you look at it and you look at that, it almost looks like, I know she probably wasn't shot by a shotgun, but it almost looks like something like hit there and made middle pop marks and like blew rather than being the spots. Of course, they could be what the spots look like at the end. I don't know.
Yeah, well,
but just examine it a little more. And
I mean,
I'll post it too.
I'm looking at it. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now, and I mean, it's
you
just
see that little
yeah,
one kind of
yeah, no, yeah. But I will tell you, I'm looking at the hooves of this thing, and they're really, really black and really shiny. So that indicates that's a really young deer. But now I kind of see.
Unless you just went through a car wash. I mean, I don't.
Well, that's very true. That happens. We have those. Yeah.
Yeah. Deer wash.
Yeah, deer wash. That was good. Yeah. So yeah, no, but does are obviously does are super important. They're all deer are great deer for the kiddos, but a lot of folks will get their kids going on does. They're just as wily of a target as a buck is.
I can't tell the difference in the meat. It's funny, like some people say, the vice versa or whatever. I mean,
right.
I'd be curious to see if anyone out there, has any insight into that, because I've never been able to taste it. But
yeah, well, I
mean, maybe.
I think it's all how you treat it.
True, that's true.
I mean, if you
a lot of it goes into how you treat once you harvest and how you make sure the meat doesn't get spoiled or anything like that. It bleeds out properly.
There you go.
All sorts of a lot of factors.
Yeah, bleed it out.
So there's one thing I wanted to bring up about the age issue.
Yeah.
That there may be some people listening that are maybe jumping out of their seats saying, "Well, that's not how we do it," or whatever.
Yeah.
And I know I've mentioned this to you before. So my cousin-in-law was on a MLD ranch down in way South Texas, literally on the border. Kind of, I don't remember exactly where it was, but it was way down there. And they had on this place was like 30,000 acres, and they had like 300 doe they had to shoot, every year. And what they did was they never shot older doe. So anything above 3.5, 4, and they killed all the young doe. And the reason, I guess that maybe their biologist said this, or I don't know what it was, maybe it's the area or whatnot. But the reasoning he got or was given was because the older doe, if they're 3.5 or older or whatnot, they've proven that they've proven that they haven't had a problem, at least in the past, giving birth to twin fawns.
Yep.
So it's like, well, if they haven't had that problem, then maybe we should leave them to continue to breed, almost like the breeder bucks, our breeder does. Whereas they say the younger ones, however, they haven't proven that. Now maybe they will, maybe they won't, but we still have to cull the numbers in the herd. So focus on just shooting the younger doe. So something else to kind of, I don't know. I mean, I'd be curious to know like exactly all that went into that decision versus the other thing, But and maybe what we need to do is get some different biologists on here, and ask them those from different areas too, so they'll have different perspectives.
Yeah, that is actually a really good.
I wanted to throw that idea out though, just so that we're not saying necessarily that what we're talking about or what we're doing is the be all only thing to necessarily do. Just be mindful probably of your overall management goals and what needs to be done, blah blah. It's kind of it's our perspective, I guess.
Totally.
So I don't want anyone on the end of their listen to this thing going, these guys they're telling me what to do, they don't know anything.
Right.
No. But if anyone thinks about it any differently, please let us know. Shoot us an email. howdy@feedbandit.com. We'd love to hear it.
Yeah. Well, and just real quickly, just kind of brought something to my mind is, again, want to talk about one of the pros for having the ability to feed is being able to be super selective now with the does. You can, you can sit there and watch them with the feeder and really make that good decision. Hopefully.
Mm-hmm. Hopefully.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that hasn't happened to me since, and knock on wood. I'm always a little more heightened now because of that.
That's okay, yeah. And I normally give my sermon before the beginning of the year, and I'll do it again this year. So yeah.
Right. You got anything else on this?
That's really about it, man.
That was a good one. That's good to get that kind of, remember all that stuff. And all, I guess, I'm sure you'll agree with this, for all our buddies that'll be with us, we should, I hope they're listening to this.
Yes. It's very true. Very true.
You need to get, when we post it, send the link to this podcast out to everybody by email. So it's like, hey,
I will. That's a good idea. Well, they should be listening, but
they should be, of course, yes. But sometimes things get in the way, and they may not hear it till a month from now, and go, so just to get it in high on their queue.
It's a good idea. Very good idea. All right, I'll make a note.
There you go. All right. Well, cool. Well, folks, we hope you enjoyed this discussion, and again, anything you agree with, disagree, especially, or you do any different, please let us know. We love to hear how everyone else kind of does it out there and what their thinking is, and
for sure,
all that. Who knows? We can always, and then if we can share it with the whole group, maybe all of us share our best tips, and then in the end, we end up being all better stewards of the land, if you will, and whatnot. So,
absolutely.
All right. Well, cool. Well, thank you, Spitz, for that excellent education.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. It was a good time, and again, I'm no PhD, so it's just what we've been doing.
Well, yeah, you are piled high and deep, right?
Oh, yeah, that's true.
All right, folks. We will catch you on the next one. Happy hunting. Thanks for listening to the Feed Bandit podcast. Just a reminder to text the word bandit to 345-345. And when you do, you'll join our email list where we'll send killer deals on innovative hunting products and services, along with entertaining tips and tricks straight to your inbox. You don't want to miss out. So again, text the word bandit to 345-345, and we look forward to seeing you on the hunt. Until next time, have a good one, and remember to support your local feed store.